Hello and welcome to my podcast. I am Judy Bartkowiak from NLP and EFT Kids. I work with children and teens on a number of different aspects of their lives. And as you can probably imagine, I have a number of teens at the moment who are really struggling with anxiety. Now, anxiety is a really big word, and it can be sort of all consuming and means something different to each client. It probably means something quite different to you. And that's important to recognize that anxiety is like a big word, it's a big thing. And what we need to do is to what we call chunk it down in NLP terms and really get to the root cause of what the anxiety is in each situation. And for this, I tend to call on a bit of sort of a CBT type of technique, really, in so much as the smallest chunk at any one point in time, at any one moment, is that thought that you have in that moment. And that will be caused by a trigger, by something that you see, hear, or feel that alerts the amygdala in your brain that you're in a stress, a dangerous, a threatening situation in some way. Now, that, of course, is a perception because the chances are you're not actually under great threat in that moment. In reality, you're unlikely in that moment to feel that your life is in danger. So it is a perception. Your amygdala is, in effect, being super protective of you because that is a situation that may have originally been imprinted in your very early childhood. So at a time when you couldn't logically assess whether you really were in danger, but you felt in danger and you imprinted a belief or decision to protect you throughout your life. And so these things then are triggering you uniquely in a way that something else will trigger somebody else because a different belief will be at the core. So what's happening is your amygdala is responding rather like a smoke alarm in the event of you having burnt the toast. Your amygdala is going sort of bah, 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 sort of really sort of making you alert to danger. But actually, what is happening is not in reality that dangerous. It simply feels it to you. So what we're saying here is that it's actually a belief rather than a fact. You're not factually in danger, but you believe you're in danger. And once you recognize that this is a belief and not a fact, we can start sort of playing with it and questioning it because beliefs change. We change our beliefs based on new information, new knowledge. And that's why, of course, when I'm working with a client, we're looking at change, making changes, looking at things in a fresh way, finding other choices. So what I encourage my new clients to do, and I had a new teenage client yesterday, which is what prompted me to record this podcast, was we were looking at really increasing her awareness of those thoughts. So questioning the thought, imagining, for example, that you take that thought that you have in that moment and put it like on a witness stand and saying, okay, so would somebody else make this mean the same thing? Is it really true? Is it a fact or a belief? Would somebody else have a different belief? Are you generalizing? Are you assuming this to always be the case when actually that may not be the case at all? You may be deleting evidence to the contrary. You may be distorting it and making it mean something sort of like catastrophizing it. Like this means they don't like me. This means I'm not good enough. This means I'm a disappointment. So when you stop for a moment, when you have that thought and write it down, or at least become totally aware of it and say, this is the thought that I had, because we are not our thoughts. They pop up, as I said, to alert us to potential danger. When we stop for a moment and say, hang on, now what is this thought? Let me just look at it. Is this really the case? Is this actually always true? Are there some exceptions? And the exceptions mean that it isn't a fact. It means that you've chosen to make it mean this. And then when we stop and just pause, and breathing is really important, to just breathe into it and just recognize I have this thought. And what if there were another thought that I could have instead? What if there's another way of looking at this? Maybe I could look at what the exceptions are. So therefore, to focus much more on the positive possibilities of this situation. And as you breathe into it, recognize it, and become aware of it, it's as if you're then taking control of it. So instead of it dictating how your body is going to react, feeling sick, having butterflies in your tummy, maybe sort of sweaty palms, sort of stressing up, sort of tensing up your body, to breathe into it. Just breathe in and just acknowledge that this is the thought that I have in this moment. It may or may not be a fact. The chances are that it isn't a fact. The chances are I'm just making it mean this. And when we do this, what we're doing is we're just taking back an element of control and saying, okay, so now I have a choice. I can choose to just see this as an opportunity to make a new friend, or to have some fun, do something I haven't done before, or I can choose to react differently and opt out, or whatever. But once you actually put in a choice and some element of control, that amygdala just relaxes a bit, because you have said to it, it's okay, I've just burnt the toast here. You don't need to go berserk. I have just burnt the toast, and I'm just going to take that toaster and put it outside for a moment, and I'm going to look at the situation, and I'm going to make some different choices. So if you're somebody who needs to think about your thoughts in that way, there's a way certainly that I explained to my teenage client yesterday, which was to start to calibrate your state. Be aware of your state so that it doesn't creep up on you unawares. So when you get up in the morning, just to think, okay, where am I in terms of, my state of mind? If you take, for example, a scale of 0 to 10, which is what we call in EFT the SUDS level, which is a specific unit of distress, 10 being incredibly intense and 0 being zilch. Just sort of think, okay, so I've just woken up. Where am I? Okay, I might be at a 2. Or it may be that you've just suddenly thought, oh my goodness, I've got such a lesson today and I haven't done my homework. And it might be a 6 or a 7. Or it might be I have such and such a thing happening. So just be aware, when it goes up, what's that thought? When it goes from 3 to 4, what's that thought? Write it down. Is this true? Is this a belief? Is this a fact? How could I think about it differently? What choices do I have? And just recognize and breathe into it. You can do something like a 5-finger breathing, when you take your hand and just put the finger of your right hand, if you're right-handed, going up your thumb and breathing in, and then down, breathe out, up your index finger, down, breathe out. So a 5-finger breathing is really helpful. You'll find all of these sort of things in my latest book, Empower Your Kids, a coaching guide for parents, or indeed in Understanding Children and Teens. So both of those new books that have come out recently, one very recently, in fact, Empower Your Kids only came out a few weeks ago, you'll find all of those techniques in there. Or of course you can book a session with me, or talk to me, give me a call, chat to me, email me. I can help you with any of these things, but this is the basics of it, is to calibrate your state all through the day. Be aware when it goes from 3 to 4, what's the thought? Question it, put it on the witness stand, give it a grilling, and then watch as it goes down. Just breathe into it going down, and then later on do it on like an hourly basis. It goes up. Okay, what's going on here? And what you're doing is you're completely taking control of your state, which is so important. And you can do this. I mean, even a small child can do this, just to be aware it's gone up. Even if they can use their hands to show how big is it, how small is it. They don't necessarily need to put a number on it. It could be the size of an animal, or, I'm feeling like a mouse, or I'm safe, or whatever. You can use whatever words relate to your child, find some sort of scale that they can use. But I think 0 to 10 can be used quite easily. I think children learn their numbers very young, don't they? So not too difficult for them to relate to. It's it's a 10, it's a 5, it's a 3. So be aware of state and start actually making different choices as to how you react, because these are choices, these are perceptions, they're not facts for the most part. And also look at what you get out of catastrophizing, because we do sometimes get something out of it. When you go up to your friends in the playground or whatever and say, "Oh, I'm feeling really upset, or I'm feeling stressed, or I'm feeling this or that," what do? They give you comfort, they hug you, they support you. In the same, going to see, say, a teacher or a parent and being upset about a thing, we get support, we get compassion and love. And I think it's important to recognize sometimes that we may be doing something like that, because the sort of the benefit is something we actually need. And so be aware of that if that is, if it has become a pattern, and you have got sort of somebody that you go to that gives you that support, are you using them as a bit of a crutch, as a bit of a rescue? Can you put some control in yourself? Because when you do that, that also builds self-esteem, so that you then create your own resilience. You can get some strength, bravery, resilience within yourself. And you can still, have your friendships and have your compassion and all the rest of it, but you don't need it in quite the same way. You choose to get it because that's what you'd like, but you don't need it to survive each day. You're not using it sort of, as like a fire extinguisher on the toast. You're actually, it's better if you can take control yourself. I'm hoping that this all makes sense, because I don't actually talk to a script or anything sensible like that. I just talk really from the heart. I say I minimize that. I am speaking from my heart, from my experiences, from my work with children and teens. So it's a professional podcast in the sense that I'm a professional. It's probably not very professional in so much as I don't have a snazzy mic or a script or an editing system or anything like that. You can't edit me, sorry. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the podcast.